Saturday, and we'll get going for tomorrow, which is the 9th of March in 3, 2, and 1. Saturday morning, it's time for the Experts program on Power Talk Radio, 1460 and 101 FM. And Luis Alvarez, our tech expert, is with us right now. Hi, Luis.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Oh, doing good, and looking forward to us having a nice weekend. I'll tell you what, Friday's weather surprised me because the original forecast was for a cloudy day, and then I came home Friday afternoon, and it had basically been sunny all day with the exception of a few high clouds out over the mountains. But gosh, what a gorgeous day.
It was gorgeous.
So I've had enough of the rain. I don't know about you, but I think I'm done with the rain for a while. The rain and the wind.
We always say here in California, we need the rain, but I think after a couple of years of heavy rains, I think we're good for now. Let's just move on with sunny weather and mild temperatures.
That's right. Yeah, we got things to do, places to go, and people to see. So
yeah, exactly.
Hey, we got a couple interesting stories to share with the folks today. The first one is kind of an add-on to what we were originally going to talk about, but I wanted to jump into this first. There was a story in the Sacramento Bee. It comes through, I believe it's AARP was helping out with this, that the FCC today, or actually this past week, decided to outlaw robocalls made with artificial intelligence. And the agency is saying that AI can make rampant scam calls a greater threat, but also hopes to use the technology for the good. And that was something we've talked about, how new technologies can be used for good, but they can also be abused for bad things. And we have a tremendous problem with robocalls as they are now. It could even get worse with AI. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, especially when you can impersonate somebody's voice, right? It's one thing if you're just using technology to make a bunch of robocalls. That's already in a lot of places banned, and the FCC frowns on it, and you can get on the do not call list and things like that. But this takes it to a whole different level, and it really came out during the primaries when an operative, which turned out to be a Democratic operative, actually used AI-generated voice similar to Biden's to do robocalls to try to influence the New Hampshire's primary election. So basically, it was Biden. His voice sounded like Biden's voice. He used phrases that we know Biden uses, like, what a bunch of malarkey. And then basically suggesting that if you voted in the primary, you wouldn't be able to vote in the general election in November. So it was a way to dissuade voters to vote. And that kind of thing is what really caught the attention of the FCC, that they've been warned that this stuff was possible, and they really just were slow walking it. But as soon as you had an instance in the wild, so to speak, of it actually being done, they recognized, hey, this could be seriously destabilizing to elections. If all of a sudden people against Trump could use his voice and start doing robocalls to people's houses to insult him or somehow dissuade them from voting. Same thing with Biden or any other politician, because all of them have so much of their voices out there recorded that it's really easy to ingest that into a AI that can generate audio voices and create anything that you want to create.
Sure. Or imagine celebrities that can be social media influencers. Like, let's say somebody was to take Taylor Swift's voice, and they could take it and they could AI it and turn it into, imagine this. Imagine that if you turned it into an endorsement for Donald Trump for president, where she's on a robocall telling you, I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I think that President Biden is too old and too infirmed to serve as president again, and we'd all be better off. As much as I don't really like Donald Trump because of a lot of things he's done, choosing between the two, I think we should all vote for Trump. And a lot of people would believe that, and they might go ahead and cast their ballot for the opposite candidate that they originally had planned to vote for. And so this could be so dangerous and so destructive. How they are going to, Louis, how you are going to put this genie back in the bottle, I don't know, because yes, you can outlaw this, but what's to stop bad actors? Obviously, if they're doing it here in the United States and you catch them, you can throw them in jail for the rest of their lives or whatever. But what about if they're bad actors from overseas? How do you go after them and stop them? Because modern telecommunication technology makes the entire world a very small place that you can reach every single person in the United States that has a telephone with a telephone call generated from a basement in the Ukraine or wherever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how they are going to completely stop this, I don't know. But boy, we always talk about how we need to be so much more aware of what's going on. And the thing too is you could do something like this this with a number of different type of celebrity voices or uses of candidates' voices, but you could just target them to voters in swing states. You're not going to get anywhere by producing a bunch of anti-Biden robocalls to try and change the election results in a really blue state like California or New York. But what if you were doing this in Ohio or Wisconsin, one of those states that's always right in the middle and could go either way and does every 4 years? It's really scary to think of what could happen with this.
Exactly. And it's one of those things that, like you said, the genie's out of the bottle. We can't stuff it back in there. So now we got to find a way to mitigate it, or at the very minimum, keep the public informed. Much like, to me, it's very similar to how we have to train people on, how not to open phishing emails and things like that. Right. You got to start training people to recognize that possibility exists, that these things can happen. So when you get a call that really sounds completely off the wall, that it's probably not something that the person who you think is saying it, that it's probably something that was AI generated using that person's voice and mannerisms, and you just have to be highly suspicious.
Now, here's the other thing we've got. One other story we want to talk about. Thieves are using Wi-Fi jammers to break into people's homes. California cops are warning about this. So how are they doing this? Is this people that don't have regular manual locks on their doors and they're using key card doors at home? Or what's the story on this?
Well, that's one example, but more prevalent is the fact that people have upgraded their home alarm systems using all sorts of wireless technology. You used to have to, if you wanted to get your house wired for an alarm system, an in-house alarm system, you would have to call out to an alarm company, and have them come in and do all the wiring. Some newer houses were pre-wired for it, but they'd have to install the panels and the sensors and all that stuff. Well, now you can go online and buy all that technology yourself. On Amazon, there's lots of companies that sell those kits. There's also companies that sell those kits at Costco and Walmart. You can go, Ring does it. So, it's basically a self-install that you can go in and put in all of these sensors in your home, and they all use Wi-Fi, your home Wi-Fi, to connect to some device that then will do the 911 calling, or call first responders if fire alarm goes off, or if a smoke detector goes off, or even if somebody tries to break into your house. So the bad guys have figured this out, and what they're doing is they're using illegal Wi-Fi jamming technology. So this is technology that has been outlawed in the United States, but it's unfortunately really easy to get and fairly inexpensive to get online. And so they come up to your house, they jam your Wi-Fi, so all of a sudden the devices no longer are connecting to that box that does all of the, the brains of the outfit, if you will, that does all of the calling and things like that. And so then they're able to break into your home, even if you have a traditional lock, it doesn't matter to them, or window, because they can now kick out the window or kick the door down, and there's no alarm that sounds, there's no first responders that show up, because the alarm system is being jammed with this Wi-Fi jamming technology. And so becoming a real problem in Southern California, a lot of especially expensive homes and expensive neighborhoods have been victimized. And so the cops are like telling the people that if you have set up these Wi-Fi only systems in your home, you might be victimized if you aren't careful.
One of the things I saw that people could do that was a recommendation on some people that had followed the story and were commenting was hardwire with Ethernet cables these devices, because then that takes them off the Wi-Fi. But aren't there some ways that you can make your Wi-Fi undetectable and unjammable by these devices, or is that not possible?
Well, unfortunately, it's not possible. I mean, once a Wi-Fi is broadcasting, even if you mask the Wi-Fi signal, the band that it's on will show that there's some activity there. So, the 5 megahertz or 2.4 megahertz, it will actually show that, there's something there. So that's what that technology will block. So you can hardwire, especially if you're using sensors that are capable of hardwiring. You should definitely do that rather than using Wi-Fi. The other thing you need to be aware of is that the only reason these bad guys know that they can do this to your home is if you've announced to the world that you're going to be out of town. You're on social media and saying, yeah, we're going on vacation for 2 weeks.
Oh, yes.
Looking forward to it. That sort of stuff, because they're not going to do this to a home that has occupants, because those occupants can still obviously pick up the phone and dial 911 when they hear something suspicious. So they're really doing this to empty homes or empty, places. So it's really incumbent on your part, if you're using this kind of technology, to not advertise that you're not going to be around in case they break in.
Well, some great advice from people from Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Online, you'll find them at alvareztg.com, at alvareztg. That is the X handle. And Luis, the toll-free free number for the I-Team?
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
And folks, on Monday, starting at 8:30 on our weekday programs, we're going to be talking about a new device called the Rabbit. And in a nutshell, this was the star of the CES this year in Las Vegas. And it's a small device. It's allowed to, or that is designed to interface with various apps on your mobile device. And the interface means that it can do all sorts of things for you on your voice command. And Louis will tell you more about that starting on Monday at 8:30. So, Louis, I'm looking forward to that one as well. And sounds like it'll be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah, I hope people tune in.
All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk with you again Monday.
Take care, my friend.